How are you guys doing? My good name is Ann Karaoke, or at Ann's Nutrition and Lifestyle. Guys, karibuni sana. Let's do this. So today, guys, we're going to look into feeding of kids with autistic disorder. And disclaimer before we start, if you have a kid with autism, guys, you need to visit your pediatrician and your nutritionist so that you can come up with a meal plan on how to feed your baby. Remember, each kid is treated differently according to their nutrition and health status. Sawa sawa. So basically, we are just going to look at an overview of feeding of kids with autistic disorder. So basically, when you're looking, sorry, let me take a sip of water. So basically, why do we need to check into their nutrition status? Guys, this is because for these kids, we need to maintain their normal health and development. That is what. And again, we find that certain foods that they may eat, they may release certain byproducts that may be detrimental to their health, guys. And also, certain foods do not break down effectively, as in kids who do not have autism. So we needed to check into that. Okay. Again, what affects their feeding behaviors in these kids? And we find that things like socioeconomic status, their upbringing, their health, and when we talk about health, we check things like their dental health, whereby for these kids, most of them, even just brushing their teeth is a problem. Yeah, it's a task. So most of them will have oral cavities, which may be painful and hence may affect their food intake. Sawa sawa. Yeah, and research has shown that most of these kids do not hawatakangi kujaribu new foods, so they will rather prefer to just feed on whatever they're used to. Nothing, you do not hawataki kuintroduciwa something new, guys. Yeah, so research over 60%, that is what research says. Okay. Yeah. And again, for these kids, communication is a problem. So even for the caregivers, it is a big task because this baby will not be able to communicate well to tell you, I love certain kinds of feeds. And also they will not, maybe the baby has taken certain foods, they have stomach aches, they may not be able to communicate well, and hence you may not be able as a caregiver to know which foods do I eliminate, which foods does this baby like. So we find that communication is a big issue. Yeah, so and we know that most autistic kids, they have GI problems, that is the gastrointestinal problems. And when we talk about the GI problems, what are we talking about? We are talking about things like diarrhea, vomiting, and also you find that they may have constipation and passing of frequent stools. Sawa sawa. Yeah, so those are some of the GI problems that they may experience, and that's why we are looking at the nutrition. How do we counter these problems? And that is where the gluten-free and the casein-free diet comes in, whereby their diet is restricted. They do a gluten-free, casein-free diet. And when we talk about gluten, we're talking about the barley and the wheat products. And we know where we get the wheat products. Akina chapati, akina spaghetti, you name them, guys. They have a protein called peptide, which these kids cannot digest, and hence because some effects, some bad effects, uncomfortability. You find that when you feed some of these babies with these products, a whole night the baby might cry a whole night, and that may affect their sleep patterns, and it may also be uncomfortable to them. Okay. Yeah. Also, the casein, that one is found in dairy products and the foods that contain lactose. And that's why even for people who do not have autism, you find that some people are lactose intolerant, and it's the same thing. So it's hard to digest, and it may also affect their health. Okay. And for these kids, remember, maybe they're at a critical age where they have most of the development, for example, the brain development, that is up to 2 years of age, bones, teeth, that is when they are developing. And for example, when we look at the whereby we say that no milk, it has calcium, we need it for normal bone and normal bone and teeth development, vitamin D. So you may need to sit down with the nutritionist so that you can have alternatives. Where is this baby going to get the substitutes for that? Because we need to maintain the normal development for the bones and the teeth, things like those, guys. So that's why I'm telling you, you need to sit down with a nutritionist, come up with a perfect diet plan according to your capability in terms of the affordability, sustainability, so that we can be able to cater for the child's needs. Okay, yeah. So what are the tips for feeding this baby? One, avoid forceful feeding. And when we talk about forceful feeding, guys, on the other series we said, guys, you should do not sit with this baby with slippers na unaanza kumchapa akule chakula. Guys, let's avoid that, so that if you do that, you're going to create a negative attitude towards feeds, and you're also going to make it very difficult for this baby to be able to accept that feeding time is not a time to be beaten. So they will just have a negative attitude on feeding, and this will affect their food intake. Okay. Number two, avoid snacking. And when we say snacking, we find that most of us, we are culprits of giving our babies snacks like cakes, biscuits. One, those snacks, they're not healthy. They will not provide the nutrients that are needed for the normal growth of this baby. And when it comes to the main meals, this baby will be already full from the snacks. So you find that they will not be able to take their main meals, and this will affect their normal growth, because they will not get the nutrients that they need from the main meals. Sawa. Yeah, so let's avoid snacking as much as possible, and we can do this also by creating feeding schedules, whereby the brain of this baby will be accustomed to certain times are feeding times, and they will get adapted to that. Na wajue ikifika sahi ni kukula, so it will be a bit easier. Sawa. Another thing, avoid distractions when you're feeding the baby, and this is a tricky one, guys. It has happened to me whereby most of us, we are guilty of you want to feed the baby when the baby is watching cartoon, and what this does, the baby is not able to concentrate on the texture of the food, the taste, the smell. So you will not be able to know what does this baby like, because they are concentrated on the cartoon and not the food. So they are just eating. They don't get the texture, the smell, the guys. So let's avoid as much distractions as we can. Okay. Yeah, another thing, when you're feeding an autistic baby, let them be as comfortable as they can. Let's avoid any discomfort that may affect their food intake. You can even get them a high chair, whereby they will be comfortable as they're feeding, so that, because any discomfort will affect their food intake. And remember, these kids' behavioral changes. Sometimes you want to feed this baby, anatoka anaenda kucheza, anataka kuenda kucheza ama kufanya vitu zake. So let's make them as comfortable as we can and avoid any discomfort. Another thing, try to incorporate your meals with their meals. You can set their high chair, as we said, for comfortability next to your table and eat together. This way they'll feel the inclusivity and may increase their food intake. Sawa, guys. Yeah, so those are just some of the things. And when you're also trying to introduce new things, let's be slow and gradual, so that it's not just ASAP. And also when you're trying to do away with some foods, let it be gradual. Sawa. Yeah, so those are just some of the tips, guys. And also something to note is, when you're feeding these babies, remember to look for allergic reactions and communicate it with the pediatrician and the nutritionist, so that you can get the food substitutes for these allergic reactions, or you can get the necessary treatment required. For example, you look for things like skin rashes, constipation, what else? Itching, things like those ones. Okay, yeah. So when you experience such, make sure you communicate with your healthcare providers. So, guys, thank you. That was just an overview. Again, remember to communicate with your pediatrician and your nutritionist so that, guys, you can look more into your baby according to their needs if you have an autistic kid. Sawa sawa. So asanteni for watching. Remember to subscribe somewhere here, hit on the bell notification so that anytime I upload, you are going to be notified, guys. And see you on the next one, guys. Bye.